Hey, you listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM and ArrowFM. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Yo.
So we got a lot to get through, so we're going to just talk about things real quickly. NXT WarGames, it happened. Really good show. Matt Riddle opening it up with a quick victory over Cassius Ohno in 7 seconds. I'm hoping... I saw a little bit of Riddle in his final Progress match, so I'm hoping we get to see a little bit of the personality, and there's a lot of personality there, and you're getting glimpses, but it's time to go all out. The NXT Women's Championship match, it was a 2 of 3 falls match. Shayna Baszler picking up the 2-1 victory over Kairi Sane before being helped with a bunch of her horsewoman friends. Kairi Sane also getting some friends, including the New Zealander Dakota Kai. We'll see where the inevitable 3v3 goes with that. Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, really good match. NXT Championship, Tommaso Ciampa retaining over Velveteen Dream, really good match. And then the 47-minute long War Games match. Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders taking out the Undisputed Era. Really good match again. I don't have time to linger on it too much, but I would suggest watching, if you're going to watch just one match, watch that War Games. And I know it's 3/4 of an hour and a lot of time to sink into it, but well worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just, the only problem is because of the rules of the match, it drug on forever. Until the actual part of the match got started when everybody was in the match.
Yeah, that slow burn of new people entering every 3 minutes, and they were pretty explicit about it to everybody watching, that the match didn't begin until everybody was in the ring. It was all pretty much just warm-up. But either way, I still quite liked it. Even if you put it on the background until everybody gets in and then you start paying attention, totally up to you. Now it's time to jump over to Survivor Series, because even here we've got a lot to talk about. We previewed Survivor Series last week, and since then everything changed. But we opened up on the pre-show with a 10-on-10 Survivor Series match. Team SmackDown taking on Team Raw. Last minute change? I'm going to say change. When, I believe it was Kalisto, got a little hurt and ended up getting replaced with Grand Metalik in the middle of the match.
This was interesting. Unfortunately, it was not assigned to come for SmackDown.
Yeah, this match didn't happen, if you ask anyone. Unless it's Corey Graves. He fully believes this match happened. Yeah, it was SmackDown's only victory of the entire goddamn night. And it was a close one. Came down to the Usos versus the Revival. And depending on who you believe, wasn't meant to be the outcome. But overall, it's all you could really expect from 26-odd people. No, that's too many. 23-odd people roaming around the ring. People all over the place. And at least one lucha bugging himself up.
Yeah, it's not a match you want to watch if you're actually wanting to look out for it, though. But there were matches on this show that are definitely must see.
Mm-hmm. If we're talking about the pre-show or the kickoff being like trying to entice people into the pay-per-view, this cluster probably wasn't the best option. But looking at the rest of the card, I don't know what else you would have moved down there. So it had to be in that spot, I think. First match on the card, 5v5 Survivor Series elimination match, Team Raw, the woman of Mickie James, Nia Jax, Tamina Bayley, and Sasha Banks taking on Team SmackDown, Naomi, Carmella, Sonya Deville, Asuka, and Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose, last minute addition to SmackDown, and Team Raw losing Ruby Riott and Natalya and replacing them out with Sasha Banks and Bayley on the pre-show. It's all going topsy-turvy in the women's division.
Everything changed with the right hand.
It was a bit of chaos. But yeah, it was still a good match with the outcome. It was just, I did not expect the Riot-Natalia swap out last minute. On Team SmackDown, Mandy Rose obviously isn't Nikki Cross, but still a perfectly fine competitor to fill in that spot. But yeah.
It was a fine match.
It's not one of those matches you're talking about that was must-see?
No.
Okay. What about the United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura losing to the Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins? Was that one?
That was definitely a really, really good match. Definitely one that you would want to see.
I know there was a debate beforehand on whether these two would have chemistry, whether Shinsuke would bring his A game. I think both of those questions were answered.
Yeah.
And Rollins Nakamura was a really good match. It had high expectations from everybody watching. And I think they delivered on all of those expectations. Would I like to see it again? Quite possibly. I don't think it was the sort of match that I end up watching to the end and then just going, that was a match, I'm done. Cool. Thanks, let's move on. I would be perfectly fine with seeing this a couple more times. The tag team champions, SmackDown versus Raw, The Bar losing to AOP.
As I predicted.
But did you predict it would be because of someone peeing their pants?
No.
I would have liked to see the person who did predict that. They're going to be some sort of magic man. Yeah, AOP... At this point, we already told you Raw wins all of the matches, right? So there's going to be no spoilers for you for the rest of the night. But AOP looked really good against the Bar as well. The ending, I'm still shrugging a little bit on, but it did happen, and Drake Maverick did pee himself, and that did distract Big Show in the Bar. For whatever it's worth as a storyline.
Who knows? They're definitely picking on Drake now in the backstage area over it. Mm-hmm. So they're making it a thing. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where he does it all the time like they did to Natalia with the farting. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be something where I think Razor and Akeem is going to have to stand up for their manager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it develops in that way. Obviously, they came from being very serious. They had Paul Ellering, and they come out on the main roster. They didn't have anyone, and then they picked up Drake, and everybody sort of gave it a bit of an eyebrow raise at the start. Wasn't too entirely sure on it. And then Drake kept going with them, and he looked pretty cool. And we were like, "Yeah, this could work. This could work." And then he pees himself, and we all sort of look at it in a different light. On will AOP, get embarrassed and leave him? Will AOP just say, like, this isn't the guy we want representing us? Or will they just protect their little brother Drake?
Yeah, so let's see how it lays out.
But, if he continues to pee himself, then I'm done. Hopefully it's a one and done with a referential. WWE Cruiserweight Championship, Buddy Murphy's reign did not end against Mustafa Ali.
It was a really good match, though.
Again, I'm pretty sure we said it on the pre-show that we did, previewing this one, that you could put any two cruiserweights up against each other and be a damn good match. And I think they just continued to prove that hypothesis once again. Murphy, Ali, it's not the first time we've seen them collide, I believe, and it probably won't be the last, but it was still a really good match to sit down and watch, and I think the cruiserweights are solidly delivering. And not just on the pay-per-views that they get onto, solidly delivering every single week if you're not watching 205 Live. Some of the best matches of the week on the weekly programming are happening down on 205 Live. So I think if you're not watching that show, or at least keeping an ear out for when a really good match happens on it, you're missing some good wrestling. And this does obviously continue Buddy Murphy's reign, which makes Grady happy. Then we have the 5-on-5 Survivor Series match. Team Raw of Ziggler, McIntyre, Strowman, Baylor, Lashley taking on Team SmackDown, The Miz, Shane McMahon, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, and Jeff Hardy.
The only way you're going to beat the best in the world is to beat them 3-on-1.
Yep. I've got nothing more to that comment. They threw the best they had at Shane McMahon, and I was honestly sitting there going, he's gonna win this, isn't he? He's gonna be the one that wins this. Quite surprised when he stayed down. It seems like nothing can keep Shane McMahon down.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, I think, leading into a Shane McMahon heel turn.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen on SmackDown, I don't remember. But yeah, we're definitely going to get a heel Shane McMahon, as I think they've been building that for a while now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely seemed to be the way it was going. And I can't wait for Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn to say, "We told you so."
They'd have to return from injury before they could do that.
How long do we... no one's going to know the dates off by heart, but I'm sure there's some murmur of return for them both. I don't remember how long each of them are out. This was I found it a very good 5-on-5. Obviously, the focus of it all was Braun Strowman. I think he took out 4 of the SmackDown guys. But it continued the Drew Braun stuff as well, while continuing the Braun Corbin stuff. It continued a lot of Braun Strowman storylines.
Yeah. And then on Raw, we got a number 1 contendership match in a TLC match between Baron Corbin and Braun Strowman.
I'm going to go with Wikipedia here, and feel free to yell at me if Wikipedia is wrong. But it says that if Strowman wins, Corbin will be stripped of his authoritative power, and Strowman will receive a Universal Championship match at the Rumble. And if Corbin wins, he will be the full-time general manager of Raw.
I don't know. The clip I saw had just mentioned that the number 1 contendership match. I didn't know that was also a clause as well. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I have heard rumors that WWE is thinking about if she's not actually able to wrestle, making Alexa Bliss the full-time general manager.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I would be quite disappointed if it came to that, just because it means that Alexa Bliss can't wrestle. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows just yet if it's going to, how long of a thing it's going to be. And we've seen Paige do wonderful things over on SmackDown, and we know Alexa's great on the microphone as well, so I'm not necessarily against the idea of Alexa in an authoritative figure role. It would just be disappointing, much like it's disappointing when any wrestler gets injured and goes away for a long time.
I think I would be a little bit disappointed, though, if they do go that route. Because that means that no matter what the general manager does, if it's a male wrestler, they can never get their hands on the general manager.
Mm-hmm. True.
With Baron Corbin, they can actually go after him if they want to.
Yeah.
It may not be advised, but it can.
Yeah, obviously on SmackDown at the moment we have a female general manager, but they have Shane lingering around that's still a male authority figure, whereas Raw would be Steph and Alexa. So yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. Maybe Baron Corbin just wins at TLC and he becomes the permanent general manager. Who knows? Who knows? But before we even get to TLC, Braun's got to go have a little bit of surgery. He's done goofed his elbow. So we'll see. We'll see if he makes it back for TLC. I'm going to assume he will, or else they wouldn't have announced the match. But watch this space. So in celebration of Raw going for the clean sweep at Survivor Series, ignoring the kickoff show, we are going to play Raw's theme song this week. It's a good one. It's Papa Roach's Born for Greatness. Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM 89.0 and ArrowFM. Grady and Josh. We still got 2 matches of Survivor Series to go as time dwindles away, and then we still have Raw, SmackDown, and a quick little look at Starrcade and a quick little look at TLC. I don't think we're going to get that far. But first, let's talk about Ronda Rousey taking on Charlotte Flair.
What can we say? This was one of the matches of the night. It was a really, really, really good match. Ronda has what you can hate her, you can love her. The hype was deserved. Mm-hmm. She has brought it every single time.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. It was, people were like, "Oh, is she going to be good? Is she going to be able to perform in there, wrestling rather than just punching people in the face?" And as you say, she came out every single time, and she's so far proved, yes, she can wrestle. And you put her up against Charlotte Flair, and the match is a damn good classic.
I'd say she's taken to this better than even Kurt Angle did. Mm-hmm. And Kurt took to wrestling like a duck out of water in water. It was so this has been a beautiful thing to watch with her grow because she's definitely found her calling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I hope it continues to flourish and do well. In terms of the futures of both of these women, well, Charlotte's going to be a little more angry and a little more evil.
Hopefully she doesn't scream, though.
I quite liked the storyline that it seemed to be leading, and that Charlotte wasn't sure that she could beat Rousey and freaked out that she may not be as infallible as she thinks she is and is going to lose to this rookie. And so flipped out and did whatever she needed to do. There's so many possibilities right now, but I feel like all of Ronda's big opponents, like a rematch with Charlotte or a match with Becky once she comes back from her injury, all of her opponents are over on SmackDown. And as we know, Survivor Series is the one night a year where Raw and SmackDown go head to head.
Yeah. Except maybe at the Royal Rumble.
The one night a year. But the Rumble can only explain one. So we're going to have to pick. And I think it'll be interesting to see what the landscape is by the time we get to the Rumble. But yeah, we'll see. I'm looking forward to Ronda's future and what exactly she's bringing to the table. Charlotte Flair is a heel. We've seen it before, but I'm not necessarily disappointed. I just think Becky does it better. Last match on the Survivor Series card, Brock Lesnar defeating Daniel Bryan.
In another really, really good match.
It didn't look like it was going to start as a good match. And then it built. It was one of those things where initially I looked at the match and it kept going and it kept going. I'm like, okay, this is just going to be a drawn-out Brock Lesnar win. And then the second wind happens from Daniel Bryan. You're like, okay, this is actually a wrestling contest. Let's go.
Yeah, and Daniel had a lot of offense in it, which was surprising.
A lot of stiff offense as well.
And I think he's brought the best out of Brock since, as sad as I'm going to say this, since AJ last year.
I was thinking that as well. So what you're saying is you just need Brock Lesnar versus the WWE Champion more often?
Or somebody to make him care.
To be fair, if it was Brock Lesnar versus the WWE Champion any time in the past year, it still would have been AJ Styles. And before that, Jinder. So I'm going to take back my comment and just say that this was a really good match, as was Styles last year. Yeah, it proved that Brock Lesnar obviously can do more than just the 2-second matches, if he wants to.
Yep. And to be fair, they put the title on AJ because Brock didn't want to work with Jinder.
Worked out well for AJ.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good match. I think it was a good main event as well to cap it off, even if we all knew what the ending was going to be at that point. All right, it's time. We're going to jump into Raw. We've covered most of Raw, but we got to remember that Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey is quickly approaching.
In the back of my mind, I could see Charlotte costing Ronda the title.
Okay.
It's like one of those Dolph Ziggler, Becky Lynch chances.
Those happen when we call them out, though, so don't call them out.
Yeah, but it is in the back of my mind of that as a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see throughout it. I would expect Ronda to retain, but I'm not gonna. I wouldn't bet my life savings on it. I'm not that certain.
Yeah, but I do expect Ronda to retain, just so that we can get either the rematch between Charlotte and Ronda at the Royal Rumble, or Ronda versus Becky at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Because from what I understand, they want to do that because, well, the women aren't going to be participating, champions aren't going to be participating in the Royal Rumble anyway. Why not just give them each other to work with?
It makes sense.
It's a lot better than them just sitting outside watching the event like last year.
But they had the swivelly computer desk chairs, so you can at least swivel around and run around on the wheels. Later on the night on Raw, Seth Rollins, he attacks Dean, and we got ourselves another match at TLC.
It had already been announced.
Yeah,
or at least had been leaked by the venue. Yeah,
sorry, it was announced on Survivor Series, I believe, but the attack was on Raw. And it was pretty obvious this is how we were building anyway, right? I don't think anyone is surprised.
The only thing that surprised me is that it didn't happen in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Against Shinsuke.
True. Survivor Series was relatively
that would have kept SmackDown from being swept.
And you can't do that, can you?
No.
Apparently
you couldn't.
Kickoff show. Gotta just always count the kickoff show. And then we're going to jump over to SmackDown for a tiny little point. And Daniel Bryan, he's still the bad guy. That's just how he's working.
Yep. And it sounds like they've turned The Miz.
Well, it's weird because The Miz is teaming up with Shane McMahon. And if we're turning Shane McMahon, then don't know. But we're going to have to wait and see. The Miz is acting pretty cherry.
Maybe it was just a dark match thing, but he definitely came off as a face in the dark match thing. Because they had a Miz versus Daniel Bryan in the dark match main event for the title. Miz won via a disqualification after he got Shinsuke.
What a way to put that.
And Daniel went to attack him again, and he Shinsuke Daniel. And then held the title up and thanked everybody for coming and wished everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. Nice peaceful little end. And also, just before we move on, just got to mention that SmackDown was main evented by Randy Orton versus Rey Mysterio. That's all I got to say on that matter.
Especially with the mask being removed.
I'm just going to keep on moving. Keep on keeping on. Next show when we come on here, we're going to have Starrcade Will Have Happened. Now, we're ignoring it a little bit because it's just a house show. I promise you, nothing's going to happen. There's a Dolph Ziggler's chance that anything important happens on this show. I know I'm probably jinxing it by saying this, but that is all. And mainly because we also don't have a whole lot of time. And last thing to mention about Daniel Bryan is that he will be defending the title at TLC against AJ Styles as part of his rematch as well. So yeah, I think that's everything for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRadio, Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRadio. And special shout out to one of the teachers at Puketi School, ex-teacher there, Mr. Frost. I hear you're still listening to the show, and thank you for that, man. It's good hearing that. We'll see you all next week.